The original script was angry. It was just furious. I wasn't furious at the person I was looking after. It was more furious about the situation that I'd found myself in. I think I was maybe I'd become a carer at 23. And at the point I had written this, I was maybe 27, 26, 27. And what you find when you are a carer is that you kind of stay still or you become a very good carer, but the life that you wanted to lead is moving on without you. Your friends are moving on without you. Your family are moving on without you. And, that's not the person you're looking after's fault. That's not your fault, but that's just the way the world works. And especially as I wanted to be an actor, and I was doing all right at that point in time, watching my career dip. And it did dip. It dipped massively. There was quite a lot of momentum coming into my 20s for my career. And, it wasn't just becoming a carer, it was also the lawsuit that I had to be involved in after working in Liège for 8 months on a TV show, and then having to turn down castings, and your agent kind of sees that as well. Maybe you're not dedicated enough, and at that point, I hadn't really told anyone what was going on in my home life. And my agent just saw that as maybe he's not as committed as he used to be. And I was quite bruised and battered from the whole Liège situation. So you find yourself in this bit of a conundrum, really, because you can't just stop being a carer. The person needs you, and I would never, ever, ever have abandoned him. I think I'd rather see my career burn in the depths of heaven than abandon him at that point. But you do hold on to a bit of a grudge, I suppose, on the situation at hand. And I had written this script which was based on being a carer, but it was just angry. I was just so angry at the world. I was furious about it because of how unkind it all had been. And, I'm not a religious person, so I didn't really have anyone else to blame. So, I put this in a script and I found it very, you know, it wasn't a pleasant read. It probably would have been a great play, but it was ultimately a very angry read. And over maybe the course of 6 months to a year, I had that on the back burner, me just thinking about it and trying to make Two Housemates Series 3 as lovely as it possibly could. And then I think about 2018, 2019, I just thought, let's revisit this. Now that I'm in a better frame of mind, the person I'm looking after is doing much better, which is always wonderful, and I'm incredibly proud of the person he's become. But I just let's have a look at it. And it was, again, I just found it as aggressive. Aggressive is a great word, actually. Aggressive. About the situation that I had found myself in. And I thought, well, this isn't a good read, but there's certain parts that are really interesting. And the first part of it that I found really interesting was the Groundhog Day aspect of it. The feeling of okay, I've got to make sure the day is the same every day, because otherwise that might, something unsuspecting or unexpected would happen. It would create a sense of emergency, because the routine's being destroyed. And I found that really interesting. And at that point in time, I was speaking to Mark more and more, and I just was I spoke to him about the concept, and he thought it was a really good idea to make a story about it. Also, there's some really, really lovely birds out. Why don't I make this a little bit more charming and interesting? And I remember having a conversation with a friend about, she said, I wouldn't think that anything was going on at home. I would have thought that everything was going great by the way that you behave outside the world. And I thought that's really interesting. I could essentially make two separate short films and combine the two to highlight the aspects of my life where the sun's come out, which I think is a sign that I've made a good choice, even though my eyes get tinier and tinier. I close my eyes to the truth. I can make a short film that essentially feels like two short films put together, and that concept being, the character's inside life and the character's outside life, and the inside life kind of remains quite natural and not aggressive but sad, and I had to take that anger out, and The outside world would be, you know, charming and fun, and the coloring would be, you know, much more interesting, and the rhythm of the language would be much more charming and much more rhythmic and much more, you know, that has a beat to it, really, especially Mark's character. And I thought that was really, really important to do. The next few drafts became a case of making it a little bit more watchable, making it a little bit more likable, making the characters seem much more likable, which creates a sense of, oh no, I don't want anything to be going wrong with this person. And that's where the draft started to change, where it became much more about, it became less about, look how awful the writer's life is and how awful this character's life is, to much more mixed and also melancholy and quite sad at the end. So that's kind of where the first few drafts were. It became a really, really interesting experience to write about my own life in a way, but to also edit it so it becomes much more palatable for the audience, instead of this is a rage I'm feeling, to more, this is the many ways that I'm feeling about the situation, and I hope that you can connect with it. So that was kind of the first few drafts. If you've got any questions, do leave them in the comment section, because I'd love to maybe like do another video on this, or the development of character and script, especially with the added pressure of writing about either your own or someone else's life. Hi, thank you very much for watching the video. If you're looking for something else to watch, there's Moustache Man, there's a trailer, and there's the film, and also a cat just came in. Have a lovely day.